What is going on to all my movie fans out there, and welcome back to my channel, MovieFiles. Elliot back again with a brand new out-of-theater reaction / movie review from seeing the follow-up to 2018's horror film, The Nun. We are talking about The Nun II. Now, I literally just walked in the door about 15 minutes ago from seeing it in theaters, and in today's video, I'm gonna let y'all know my thoughts, but I'm gonna also let you know if I think it's worth checking out in theaters. We'll be discussing that and much more, but first, let's start the conversation in the comment section. Let me know if you are a Conjuring fan, and if you are, which one is your favorite. I'm talking about out of the 3 Conjuring films, La Llorona, The Nun 1 and 2, as well as the Annabelle movies, which one is your favorite? And speaking of The Nun 2, were you all looking forward to the sequel? And once you all have seen The Nun Part 2, what did you think? I'm talking about positive things, negative things. What was your favorite kill, your most creative jump scare, or just favorite scene in general? What was something you hated about the movie? And do you want to see a Nun Part 3? Let's talk about all that in the comment section. So for me personally, I'm guilty as charged. I really enjoy these Conjuring films, some more than others. Like, I really love the Conjuring movies, especially 2013's Conjuring, one of my favorite horror films in the past 20 years. Really enjoyed the sequel. The third one wasn't that great, but the spin-offs are, let's just say, not the best. Some of them are better than the others, but speaking of better than others, I did the unfortunate thing of rewatching The Nun Part 1 for the first time in over 5 years, and let's just say, yeah, doesn't hold up. It is so boring, and it's just a pointless movie. I say all that to say this. When it comes to The Nun Part 2, way better than the original in every way possible, right? Number one, the direction's just better. We have Michael Chaves, who directed La Llorona and The Conjuring 3, The Devil Made Me Do It. Him as a director, he's more confident. He has more of a creative hold on this film, more creative jump scares. It's just a better movie, a better directed movie than the original. So kudos to Michael Chaves. But also when it comes to story, it is significantly better than the original in every way possible. Number one, there's just more moving pieces, right? The first one, we're in the Abbey, and it's just like, this is boring. We're in one location. This time around, we're in multiple locations. There's more of a bigger cast in this one. There are more plots going on. Some of them are better than others, but it moves better. Like, this film is like maybe 20 minutes longer than the original, but it moves a lot quicker than the original. It's not as boring as the first one. There are some moments that lag, and we'll talk about that here in a second, but just speaking to the story, it just moves better and it's more compelling than the original here. So getting back into Michael Chaves' direction, there are more creative things going on with this movie, right? I found this, and this isn't a spoiler, there's a couple scenes that stood out to me. One is in the trailer where there is Sister Irene, and she's at a magazine stand. And while it's not scary to me, I found it very creative what they did in that scene. But there is one scene that kind of made me say, oh, I really like what y'all did there. And I'll just say this. It involves an object in a stained glass window, and it's a great callback. It's a great design, and I love that scene. I'll just leave it at that. It's a little bit further in the movie. Really good creative use of a goat. So moving on to just the performances. I didn't find the performances in the first one to be bad. I just found the characters to be dull and boring and very uninteresting. This time around, I really enjoyed the performances. Like, number one, Taissa Farmiga, I'm a big fan of hers. Been a fan of hers since the first season of American Horror Story. Of course, the Farmiga sisters. I really enjoyed her in this film. I found Sister Irene to be more compelling. She had more to do. She's definitely more formidable in this film. And I really like the mentorship she takes on with Storm Reid's character, who's almost kind of a pseudo version of her in the first one. Like, Storm Reid's character, her faith is in question. So I kind of like the stuff that she got going on. Some of it was a little bit rushed, but I enjoyed their chemistry naturally. But I gotta say, Frenchie, Maurice, who was in the first one, he's in this new one. And again, if you saw the trailer, you know that. He is way better in the second one. Like, number one, he has a lot more things to do, but when it comes to his scenes, they're tense. There's also, I'm not saying this is like super emotionally in-depth type of relationships going on, but there is a relationship involving Frenchie, a teacher, and the teacher's daughter that I found to be enduring. Really enjoyed the performance overall. Let's get into some of my negatives here. I will say I did give props to the story being at least better than the original, which is not hard to do because the story in the first one's not that great. But in this second one, when it comes to the story, there is still moments that felt a bit slow. Like, there are two main plots going on. One that involves a murder and trying to figure it out with the sisters investigating that. And then we have Frenchie at a boarding school. There is a lot of other subplots to me that just kind of took away from some of the things that really intrigued me. Like, we're trying to figure out backstories with Sister Irene, the backstory with the nun. There's this relic that we're trying to find, and it feels like the film to me was fighting for position to kind of keep those plots in line, on top of it tying to the Conjuring universe. So there's two main plots that I found to be interesting, but then all the other stuff is like, I don't really need all that focus to be there because it didn't really add much to the main narrative. So that is a negative to me. I'll end it on this note, and I want to talk about the actual demon nun. Number one, they're in the movie. Like in the first one, the nun's barely in the film. We get more of the nun in this sequel, and when we see the nun is extremely violent. I mean, she's killing priests, she's killing kids in this one, and she's just terrifying. She's an actual fearful, threatening type of creature, even though some of the kills were kind of off screen, and when you see the film, you know what I'm talking about, but there is a higher body count. And again, the nun is in the movie, is in the title, and you see the nun in this one, which is always a good thing for me, right? So I'll just wrap up by saying, overall, you don't need to see the first Nun to understand what's going on in the sequel. I will say this one, top to bottom, is way better in every way possible. I don't think that this film comes close to the first Conjuring or the second Conjuring, but I will say it's one of the better spin-offs of the entire franchise, and I would actually go a step further and say I thought the Nun II was better than Conjuring 3. I do think this is a good way to start off the spooky season, and I'm going to give the Nun II a solid 3 out of 5. Even though I don't find any of these new spin-offs, or especially this one, to be scary, I do applaud the creativity that went into this film and just a more engaging and more interesting story and more compelling characters. So 3 out of 5 for the Nun II for me. But that is my thoughts, my out-of-theater reaction, my movie review. Go check it out, y'all. And when you do, let me know what you all thought of it. Again, which is your favorite movie out of the franchise? What was your favorite element about this new film? What were some things you didn't enjoy? And again, I would be okay with seeing a Nun 3, but let me know your thoughts on that in the comments section. Thank you all for watching today's video. Before we wrap things up, consider hitting the like button, sharing the video, leaving your thoughts in the comments, and of course, consider subscribing to the channel. You all are awesome. Hope you're staying safe. I'll catch you all on the next video.